Hey folks, welcome back. Today we are going to talk about something really cool, and that is app modularization. I think this is very useful and lots of you are going to use it. Before we begin the lesson, I'm just going to sell my stuff here, and that is if you want to learn test-driven development with Laravel, check out the description. I'm going to release a course on it and it's going to be really nice, so make sure to check that out. Back to the lesson. When you're building an app, it's very easy for the app directory to get really crowded. You might start with the user-facing UI, and then you want to build a dashboard, and then you want to build an admin panel, and then you want to build some widget integration. And those directories start to get a little bit too crowded. For instance, imagine you have this structure. Now, this is a pretty common way to organize your application. So you have your usual HTTP controllers folder, then you have separate folders for the dashboard, for the admin, and for your widgets. The same goes for jobs. You have your main jobs, and then you have the jobs that run on your dashboard stuff and admin stuff, same for notifications and services. This is pretty common. You also have the option of not doing this and just prefixing stuff. So instead of having, jobs, dashboard, get user stats, you could just have get user stats or just prefix it with something and not have this second layer folders. So you just have one level of stuff here instead of having two levels, jobs and dashboard. But this is a pretty common way. If it's not exactly what you do, I'm sure you've done something similar in the past, and that is adding folders to make things easier to find and more readable. Now, what I want to talk about today is not exactly domain-driven design. And if you want to learn domain-driven design, if I'm not mistaken, Spotty has just released a course on it, or if they haven't released yet, they are planning to. I'm going to leave a link in the description, and I am sure their content is great. They do awesome stuff for the community, so make sure to check that out. So this isn't DDD, but it's a good way to learn things and start to think about things differently. So we are going to leverage Composer to allow us to modularize our app by moving stuff somewhere else. For instance, we only have this app folder here. One common way to do this is just make a folder inside the app folder. So for instance, app admin or app dashboard, and put everything inside there. So every controller related to it, every model related to it, every notification related to it stays inside the folder. I don't like that approach very much because things get messy. So you would have a notifications folder here, and then you would have a notifications folder inside the dashboard folder. What I like to do is what I'm going to show you guys right now. So instead of having them inside here, we can go and we can create a directory. So let's call it dashboard, and then we can put our things here. So we can do dashboard notifications and let's say verify website. I don't know what this does. I'm just giving you guys an example. And then we can have our views here as well. So we could do dashboard views and then sites index.play.php. And when we return this view, instead of doing like view sites.index, we could do view dashboard sites.index. Notice this. I'm going to show you guys what this means real quick in a second. So previously we would probably place it inside resources, views, dashboard, sites, index. Right now we are going to place it inside dashboard views, and then instead of doing dashboard dot, we're going to do dashboard, and I don't know how this character is called, double dot, I don't know. But yeah, we're going to use this one. So we've already figured out the structure. We would do, dashboard, models, site status, something like that. And this is in the wrong, it's in the correct place. Dashboard, jobs, verify website, something like that. But how do we make things work here? As you know, we have namespaces. And if we go here, you can see that we have the namespace app jobs. So how do we make PHP or Laravel or whatever you want to call it find out about this folder? For instance, let's create a model here. Let's do PHP namespace. Let's do dashboard, models, site status. Let's just, add a foo method. So if we try to run this, let me show it to you. Dashboard, models, site status. Foo. It's not going to work because this namespace, this base namespace is not registered. So we can leverage Composer to make this directory known for us. Let's go to composer.json. And if you go down a little bit, you're going to see that we have this autoload object. And then we have this PSR4 object. That means that Composer should autoload everything that's here using the PSR4 autoloading. So for everything inside the app directory, it's going to prefix it with the app namespace. For everything inside the database factories directory, it's going to prefix it with the database factories namespace. All we need to do is add our dashboard. So dashboard. That's it. And let's add a comma here. After we do this, we need to go back and run Composer dump autoload. Or if you want to use the shorthand, just du. Perfect. Let's try and run that once again. And now it works. Okay, that's cool. We had that figured out. But I talked about views, right? So how do I, let's type something here. How do I get this view? If I go to our web page and let's return it. Dashboard sites index. That doesn't work. I talked about using 2 dots, right? That doesn't work either. So no hint path defined for dashboard. So we need to add a service provider. The same providers that we have here, if we go to providers, not exactly the same, but similar ones, both to handle our templates as well as our routes. So let me show you guys how we can do this. Well, let's talk about routes first. Let's go to our root service provider under app providers. And you can see that it's pretty simple. It doesn't do much. Let's copy this and create a file under dashboard, providers, root service provider. Let's change the namespace. It's dashboard. Okay, this is fine, but we don't really care about rate limiting here. So let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of this. And okay, so we only want web routes here, and we can say middleware web base path routes web.php. Let's say that we want to load dashboard.php. So let's try and run this. Still nothing. Okay, and this got messed up. Let me disable phpfmt. I don't know why this is happening, but anyway. So root dashboard. Okay. What? Oh, form and save. That's what I wanted. Okay, cool. So I think we should get an error because this file does not exist, especially if it's spelled incorrectly. So the reason nothing's happening is because we're not actually registering this provider. So we need to go to config app. And if we go down, you can see that our providers are registered here. So let's do dashboard providers root service provider. Now let's try it once again. So require routes dashboard failed to open string. Okay, this is getting helpful. So let's add a file routes dashboard.php. And let's just add a route to, test things. Let's do this and just return a response. So we get it, but I actually want those routes to be prefixed with the dashboard. So this should be dashboard. And if we go, it does not work. What we need to do is just add a prefix here. So as all of those routes are going to be under the dashboard part of our application, we can just prefix them all with dashboard. So like this. Let's run it. Okay, now it works properly. Awesome. And let's say we want to return a reveal, and it was dashboard sites index. Let's try it. Okay, no hint path defined. So what we need to do now is, do we see how we have this app service provider that doesn't do much? We have this macros here. It was for another video. Don't forget about it. let's just copy this and create a file under dashboard providers, and let's say dashboard service provider. Okay, let's change the namespace, dashboard and dashboard. Okay, what we have to do now is to instruct Laravel to recognize dashboard slash views as a hint path, as somewhere it can find files, view files. And to do this, we can use a very useful function called load views from, and we can pass the path as a first argument, so dashboard views, and then we can pass the namespace, and that is dashboard. So let's try this now. Doesn't work. Let's go back to config app. We need to register this. So I'm going to register just above this one, dashboard service provider. Let me import this, and there's a typo. Let me fix it like this. Seems to be correct. Dashboard service provider. Okay, this is weird. Let's try. Class dashboard service provider not found. Okay, where's the mistake? Oh, it's here. So now it works. Now we are returning our view. So this is all we needed to configure it to make things work. We need to let Laravel know that it should load views inside the dashboard namespace from this path, and we also just need to load the routes. Now, you could do this inside your app service provider. You could place what we just added to our dashboard service provider here, and you could add your routes to your major root service provider. I particularly prefer to keep things separated, so on their own folder. So here you have a base skeleton for you to use. This is not a final skeleton. This is not really a suggestion of what you should use. I just want to give you guys a few ideas on how to modularize your app. It doesn't necessarily have to be a section of your site. It could be a specific feature. Let's say you have an application and that it depends on crawling websites, and you have huge website crawling functions. You could place them in a separate place, or you could extract them to a package. This works very similar to a package, so unless you really make it tied to your application, you could make it very modular in the sense that it does not depend on your application, but that's usually overkill, so you can depend on your application just fine. But you can move logic out of the main app folder using this method. Is it always necessary? Definitely no. In most cases, having everything inside the app folder works fine. But especially when you have a project that has too many different features, sometimes it's good to separate them a little bit to make things a little bit less dependent of each other. So if you want to deal with the dashboard, you know where to find your things. Your views are here, your jobs are here, your models are here, your notifications are here, everything is here. You don't have to look for anything inside app. If you want to look for crawling functions, everything is inside crawler. Now, you might, instead of having this dashboard folder, you could actually create a modules folder and point it on Composer, and then just have your modules inside that one. For this case, I prefer this one. And as I said, this is not a rule. This is not a skeleton. This is just an idea of how to organize your applications. This might not work the best for you, but this might work very well for someone else. From here, you can start doing more DDD-ish things. But I think this is a good initial point. So I'm just teaching you guys how to move things outside of your app folder. Okay? That's pretty much what I had to show you guys today. I hope this lesson helped you learn something new. And if you have any suggestion, critiques, or, just your general comments, make sure to leave them on the comments below. Thank you very much for watching, and I see you guys in the next video.